Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Pardon Our Picks, where perfection is a work in progress. I'm your host, Sam. Alongside me, as always, the GM, Tarek. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. Recovering from long Christmas Day and everything, but I'm here. I'm ready to go talk about football, all the crazy stuff that happened this weekend. How about you, buddy?
I'm doing really good, really good. Excited for the last couple weeks of football. Of course, we have football Jesus. What is the word from on high, sir?
Well, I just got to say, you guys threw me an amazing birthday party this year. I'm so thankful for all of the great football that happened on my birthday and throughout. So I just got to say, I'm thankful to be here once again. Thankful for another year on this earth, and thankful for another week to be on this podcast.
Absolutely. Of course, we have the QB coach, Jessica. What you got drawn up for us this week?
What he said.
What he said. That's cutting it down.
I'm good. I'm getting over a really bad cold, so I will probably be coughing a lot. I'm trying to drink some hot tea, and I took some medicine, so we'll see.
Okay, we're glad to have you back. Glad you're feeling better. Alongside me, next to me, we have the Hall of Famer, Jim. How you doing tonight?
It's all right. I signed autographs, so my hand hurts.
He's older than Fran Talkington. So. But of course, we are missing our little insider. He will be back again next week. Don't you worry about a thing. To talk about, of course, the legendary birds of the NFL. Now, really exciting week. We had a lot of things go the way we thought they were going to go. The Ravens, however, did end up triumphing over the San Francisco 49ers. Only a few people picked that. I'm thinking, who is it? It was me and one of the Tarek. That's right.
I picked the Ravens.
Exactly. We picked the Ravens. We're the only two that did it.
Listen, I was talking your ear off about how I really wanted to change my pick to the Ravens because of how driven they were with the underdog and all the comments and stuff. And I was like, they can do it with that. Because Baltimore drives on passion.
You had so much time to change your pick like you do so often, and you just didn't do it.
I didn't.
But that's okay. It brings me to wonder, are the Ravens the best team in the NFL right now? We're going to throw it to Football Jesus to start this. What do you think?
Well, given that we're all from Baltimore, I feel like everyone's going to say yes. So I will take the dissenting opinion in this group, and I'm going to say no. And what I'm really going to focus on is that the Ravens' run game outside of Lamar Jackson is essentially non-existent. Yes, we, as in the Baltimore Ravens, have had two key injuries to both J.K. Dobbins and Keaton Mitchell this year. And our rushing attempts are averaging just over 3 yards a carry this year, which really isn't great going into this late in the season. Now, we're not playing like we don't have a run game, and I keep saying we like I'm a part of the team, but my taxes go towards that stadium, so I am a part of the team.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think that a complete best team in the NFL is able to run the ball well, complete the passes, and then play solid defense. So I lean more towards a team like the 49ers still, even after that abysmal game where were shown that Brock Purdy was a system quarterback because Sam Darnold came in and did the exact same thing that he did, or the Miami Dolphins, who are just as good at those three phases of the ball, but just for whatever reason can't put it together against winning teams. So I'll say no, just on the fact that the Ravens run game really hasn't been there the last forever.
But you don't have a team that's better?
I think I would say the Miami Dolphins.
So I would disagree with you there. I know the Miami Dolphins offense was ranked higher, but I think it's because of those outlier games where they scored an obscene amount of points against a really crappy team. However, the Ravens are doing something that the Miami Dolphins haven't been doing. So the Ravens have 7 wins by 14 or more points, and they are all against teams of over 500. So Miami Dolphins struggle against teams that have winning records. And not only do the Ravens have good track records against teams with winning records, but they also just beat the team that everybody said was the best team, and they didn't just beat them. I mean, the Ravens looked good on all sides of the ball, and they've gotten a good run game. I mean, 3 yards a carry averaging is not great. With some of the injuries, it's definitely been harder. But as far as like getting some of our linemen back and trying to keep people healthy, we've got a pretty good depth chart for our running backs. Thank God. So the injuries haven't hurt as much as they might have hurt other teams. So I absolutely think the Ravens are the best team all around. They can
Just a
score on every
briefing.
side of the ball.
I do think they are the best team. I just wanted to give a dissenting opinion for variety's sake.
Oh, that was hard to listen to. Not gonna lie.
You know, it's not surprising that you would give that a kind of opinion because I mean that's just who you are. You like to give that.
I like to go against the grain, you know. Piss off a religious figure, give dissenting opinions. You know,
So football
Jesus.
Football Jesus is playing devil's advocate. That does not make sense.
Hey, they were both angels.
Tarek.
Yeah, my mind just right now. So I'm torn because now I'm putting emotion into it. So part of me thinks it does. They are. And the other part of me, as a pseudo-Baltimore fan, doesn't want them to be. Ravens don't do well when everyone picks them to be the best. We like being the underdog. So I don't want the Ravens to be the best because then everything's going to fall apart. The only team, one of the few teams that scares me going up against and everything is the Bills. So the Bills are doing really well. They're top 4 for offense. Like they've won. The only game they've lost in the last several weeks has been the Eagles, who have been one of the better teams in the NFC. So I don't know which way to categorize that. So I think if they're not the best, they are close. I don't want them to be, so I'm going to knock them. I'm going to go with Brady and say no ?
What about you there?
I think you guys have some pretty good points, but I think there's one thing is that, like, you talk about the Eagles. Okay, the Eagles are running out of gas. The Eagles are not playing. They're not hitting on all 8 cylinders, number one. So you can't really compare that too much to that. And I'm like Jesus here.
He's like Jesus.
You got to prove it to me. And I'm not completely sold on it, but I'm looking at us at overall. Now, as far as the quality of the ball players, I think we have the best quality ball players in the NFL. At everything I've seen, we don't just have 1 or 2 players there that they say, oh, you know, they're going to take in, they'll carry us. This will carry us. No, we got guys. We got a lot of them, you know, like Hamilton and stuff like that. Guys like that. And from what I've seen with the corners covering, man, step for step, Ioka, whatever the guy's name, who was that covering him? That was
Brandon Ayuk. Was it not Marlon Humphrey?
No.
Brandon Stevens.
It was number 21.
Stevens. Oh my God,
21.
Stevens.
And I mean, look, you see all the footwork and everything, how tight he was on him and all. So I think it's there. I just think it's there. But as far as the best, absolute best team, yeah, overall talent wise, yeah. But see, you gotta have momentum.
Yep.
Gotta have them. You could have the best team in the world and not play together.
I do think, though, that's why they're doing so well, that and the coaching, because we don't have like the stars of the NFL on this team.
There's do have stars on the NFL. We do, because they're just beginning.
Right.
These guys are going to be these guys. You watch what happens. These guys are the ones that when the contract time comes up are going to want some money, and they're proving themselves right now.
When you look at a roster, the best roster in the NFL is the San Francisco 49ers. That team is built.
Yeah. And to be fair, even the good teams have bad weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a bad week for the San Francisco 49ers. They have some
that wasn't a bad week for them. You know why? They just have not come up against this kind of quality.
I don't know. They completely smashed the Cowboys and the Eagles.
The Cowgirls.
Dang. But I mean, even the Ravens have had some inexplicable losses. I mean, you look at their
but see, the thing is how they've been generating, that this team has been generating, how they're starting to realize their potential and how good they are. And they have Hamilton pretty well running all over the place, doing a lot of different things. they really do know, I can say this, how to use their talent as opposed to the way Hardball used to do it when we had a great team. We had a great team despite Hardball, that stupid things he had them do, like you call over your quarterback and the guy that's going to get the ball on the goal line to talk about what you're going to do. Now, you don't think the other team is noticing that you got the guy that's going to catch the ball. This was last year. Stupid stuff like that.
True. But I think the best team coming into last night's game was the 49ers. The Ravens have absolutely proven that they are the best team right now. At times, I would have said the 49ers right now because they have beaten the team that people thought were the team to beat. I think the Ravens currently are the team to beat. I mean, they're the best team.
They are the team to beat. You're absolutely right, because momentum and their aggressiveness and everything, they got all that. They got all that going for them. And even their mentality. The mentality really is the biggest part of the game. If you are really liking what you're doing in the game and you feel like everything is working good around you, man, you're going to be aggressive. You're going to take chances. You're really going to go all out more than what you are if you get a so-so team and you don't know whether to take and do that because you don't want to look bad, But I think they're pretty good. I think for right now, yes. And guess what? I'll be able to tell you for sure if they are once they win the Super Bowl.
Well, speaking of not looking so good, let's go ahead and take a look at the standings currently. Brady still leading. Got a 2-game lead on me. I'm sorry, 3-game lead on me, 2-game lead on Jess. But Sammy with the best week last week, 10-6.
Dude,
Sammy's had a few good weeks too.
He's got 2 weeks. I would not be surprised if he winds up leapfrogging in these standings somewhat as I fall inexplicably to the bottom after an 0-16 week.
He's getting better.
Damn.
He's coming, Tarek. He's coming.
Why does everyone want my job?
All right. Well, let's get into our games of the week. We're going to start with Football Jesus. Give us your sermon of the week, sir.
When I was looking through the games this week, I realized that there were only a few that really made sense to talk about. And this one kind of pains me to say, but I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, if you're fans of this show and you watched last week's podcast, I bemoaned, and I'm pretty sure everyone else here bemoaned the fact that the Steelers were changing quarterbacks yet again to Mason Rudolph, who was their third-string quarterback to start the year, and figured this was just going to be another lost attempt at them scoring points. But they went out and they scored 30-plus points against the Cincinnati Bengals, who have looked like they haven't lost a step since Joe Burrow was injured. And it was like, where has this been the entire time? Meanwhile, Seattle is fighting for their life for a playoff spot, doing the QB shuffle as well because of injuries to Geno Smith, and they plug Drew Lock in, and he has a career game beating the Eagles. So it's like, what do we make of these two teams who are both vying for a playoff picture? I don't know, because both of these teams have shown that they look like world beaters. And then the next week they come out and they lay an egg on the field. So for that reason, I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks simply because it's the 12th man. Playing in Seattle is an extremely difficult place to play. And I really am hoping and praying as a Ravens fan that the Mason Rudolph thing last week was just a one-off and not that, we've had our franchise quarterback riding the bench for the last 5 years.
Yeah, I definitely don't think Rudolph is the answer to their prayers. I definitely think there's a huge advantage for Seattle to get back on track playing at home. It is difficult to play there, but I also think that they just have a better roster, obviously. The Steelers, the whole season, the games that they've won, people have always been like, how? Because it was always the other team playing horribly. It wasn't that they looked amazing. So, yeah, there's one guy on the offense that can really catch the ball, and unfortunately, he's a douchebag. But like, as far as the quarterback goes, like he's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna do well this week. He's gonna get rushed. He's gonna be thrown. I guarantee he throws at least one pick. I think Seattle's gonna look really good this week, and they will win.
Well, this is interesting. Brady hit all my points that I was going to talk about here because that's exactly what I was looking at when I was going through these games: is who's doing well, who's on the bubble, who needs the win, and these two teams are just it's hit or miss. It's you based on. I mean, I feel like a broken record this year for every episode. I'm saying like we can't pick. It's really hard to pick who's going to do what because all the teams that are supposed to win lose, and half the teams are supposed to lose win. It just keeps going back and forth. I mean, the first team the Broncos beat this year were the Chiefs, who were double Super Bowl contenders and everything. So I'm going with I'm playing the chalk, as we say.
The throwback to last year.
Yeah, because also my brain's tired after like trying to do all these stats and even try to understand half of what Jess talks about, and I don't know. So, because I have no idea. So I'm going with the Seahawks. Home field advantage. As Brady said, it's really hard to play there. They know what they're doing. We'll see what kind of game it is and what happens.
I think the Seahawks are going to win. It's going to be tight as long as they take care of number 80. And I believe Pete Carroll's going to have something for him. Okay, I think they're going to take him out of the equation because, see, what I said before about not having just that one or two people that really, you depend on to do your to carry your team and stuff. See, Steelers have that, just one or two, and he's one of them. He's a big part of it. He also takes and disrupts everything so badly that you got to take more than one person to try to handle him, which means you're taking away from the coverage on the front line. You're taking away from your protection. So, but I think they're going to have something for him. Pete Carroll's a pretty good guy, pretty smart guy. So I think they're going to win. But if they do, I think it's probably going to be close, about a 3-point game.
I look at this game. I see the Seahawks. They struggled a little bit to run the ball in the past couple of weeks. I think Kenneth Walker's been a little injured, hasn't been 100%. Mm-hmm. That Steelers defense is great against the run. They are really good against the run, and I feel like they're going to struggle simply for that reason. However, the Steelers' offense is absolutely putrid, and I say this every week. They're just terrible. And I think the Seahawks are going to capitalize on that. I actually see Mason Rudolph throwing 2 or 3 interceptions, throwing for under 200 yards, and their running game getting stifled because they can't throw the ball. I feel like the Seahawks have too many weapons. I'm going with blowout in this one. The Seahawks are going to win 33-10.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's going to be huge.
Good Lord.
Huge.
So if you're wrong,
stuff he was smoking.
if you're wrong, can we deduct, since you're going specific points? Do you get deducted for those points, so then I can leapfrog you?
No. All right. Let's get into our next game of the week. Jessica, what kind of plays you got drawn up?
Well, I have the game of the week. It is the game that everybody's going to be excited to watch, and it's because I don't think there's that many great matchups this week. But this one is the number 1 and number 2 seeds in the AFC going head-to-head in Baltimore. It's the Ravens against the Miami Dolphins, and I've already pretty much alluded to who I think is going to win this game. Mm-hmm. I think the Ravens are an all-around great team. I think Miami will struggle with containing Lamar Jackson and the rest of the offense, number 1. And number 2, Miami is a little bit banged up. But honestly, I still would have picked the Ravens had they both been fully healthy teams. I think the Ravens are a better built team. You guys having problems over there?
No, go ahead. Keep going.
Okay. We can see your mouse, by the way.
Both teams are fighting for this division, and the Ravens can clinch home field advantage and a first-round bye in this. They are hungry right now. They want this really badly, and they are just motivated. It does suck that it's a shorter week for them, but again, it's home field, so I am going with the Ravens here. I think it's going to be close, and I think they're going to be playing from behind because they're coming off of such a big win. And that part worries me a little bit, but I do think that at the end of the day, they'll win by 3.
I'm going to piggyback off.
Okay, that's I think that's pretty fair assertion.
I'm going to piggyback off what Jess just said. I think this is going to be a slow start for the Ravens just because they're coming off of that high of the win against what everyone assumed was the best team in the NFL last week. But with Jalen Waddle dealing with that high ankle sprain and the Ravens really being better against those out of the backfield pass catching type backs, the Miami Dolphins are going to have to lean on Raheem Mostert, who is essentially a run up the gut type runner. He can catch balls. I have him on my fantasy, or I did in one league. He can catch passes out of the backfield, but he doesn't do it that often. So I think that eliminates A-Chain, and I think we're not going to have to shift so much coverage over to Jalen Waddle, allowing us to double up Tyreek Hill. Now, last year, we all remember what happened when these two teams played. The Ravens went up big and they wound up blowing it late. I think the Ravens learned from their mistakes this week and are able to finally have that game where we beat two teams who we are supposed to lose against and kind of set us up for a deep playoff run. I have the Ravens in this one, but I think it's less than a score. I think by 6 points.
This one's going to be interesting. One of the better high end matchups of people that are pretty much already. Did the Dolphins clinch this week?
They have clinched a playoff spot, but not the division.
Not the division. Okay. So this is going to be, I guess, one of the more fun. They're fighting. They're fighting for the top 2. They're fighting for the division, fighting for the bye week. So this is going to be fun. I think this is going to be interesting. I just keep saying fun. When we have some of these games of the week, especially from someone, Brady, who just picks these low end games, they're just like, oh yeah, it's these two teams struggling to just run.
To be fair, they're both still in playoff contention. I didn't pick the Panthers game this week like I could have.
This week you didn't. Other weeks you just pick these teams barely know how to throw a ball.
We'll see how it goes next week.
Yeah. So
it's the end of the season. I got to do at least one.
So this game's going to be fun. I'm going with the Ravens. I think they're hungry for it more, as Jess alluded to earlier. They're more determined. I think they're just ready. They're ready for it. They're trying to put all the pieces together. We actually have Lamar at this time of year, which we didn't in previous years. So I think the Ravens, if they can hold it towards the end, that to me is the key point. Is how many mistakes, as Brady said, have they learned from? And the biggest one with a game like this is that I believe they can get out ahead early. They need to stay ahead towards the end of the game because they've let it go at the end too many times.
I think the Ravens are going to win. And the reason why I say the Ravens are going to win is because watching their past performances, the Ravens are in a mindset right now that they hate to lose. And every time when things look like things are getting pretty tough, they kind of hump it up. And when they hump it up, they get more physical and they're playing better and things start happening. Even with Lomar, and I never really liked them too much. But I'm starting to become a lot better, a lot more of a fan of his in a way because I think he's actually progressing, seeing the field better and seeing things happen better. I actually think, even though you can't understand a damn thing he's saying, you see him taking and doing things better, doing things more like you see a good quarterback would do, So the one thing that they can't do, and one of you guys said earlier, is that they can have that riding that high, and you bring it back down to earth quick, and you start over with a clear mindset. Okay, that day's over. Celebrate the day that tomorrow is business. And it seems like they're doing that. It seems like they're doing it because if you seen their schedule, what they were going to be playing with the 49ers and all the rest of them, you had to get serious. That was a serious. I think it was one of the hardest schedules they were going to have that anybody was going to have to face.
They did have the hardest remaining schedule, I think, like 5 weeks ago.
Yeah,
And
and they're stepping up, and that's what I'm saying. They're taking and stepping up, and they're refusing to lose, and they got the people to take and be able to get them, like with Lamar, being able to. I like the fact that he's more pocket passing now because you know why? When he goes to run, they're not expecting him to run as much, which will throw you off. Which is going to throw you off. And then when he finally does take off or something like that, before he was doing a lot, but now he's not doing as much. So it throws people off. It throws people off. So I think that's a big, big plus. So like I said, I think they're going to win it. And I think they're going to, I think you're going to be surprised. I think it's going to be a 2-touchdown game.
I like the prediction. This game pretty much will determine who wins the number 1 seed. The Dolphins are the only other team that can take it from the Ravens right now. If the Dolphins win, they're tied with the tiebreaker head-to-head. And that would also secure them, of course, the division. Buffalo wouldn't have anything to play for in week 18. However, Baltimore Ravens absolutely went into San Francisco and just shellacked them. I mean, they slapped them around. It was a physical game. Baltimore had that thing in the bag early.
San Francisco didn't lose that game. Baltimore took that
exactly.
game.
They went in there and they stole that game. They took that game. That was their game. Miami has struggled against teams with winning records. They've beaten one team with a winning record, I'm going to say.
Yep.
The Dallas Cowboys last week. They struggled to do that. I think they got pretty beat up in that game, too, against the Cowboys. They won by 2 points, field goal at the end of the game. I don't see that happening here. I see Baltimore clinching the number 1 seed this week and the Dolphins possibly losing the division next week against the Buffalo Bills. Keep your eye on that. Baltimore, 10-point victory over the Miami Dolphins. Now, let's get into the Hall of Fame game. Who do you have in your Hall of Fame game, sir?
Okay. Oh, that's the Hall of Fame game?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, they call it the Hall of Fame game because, you know, our Hall of Famers call the games.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad you finally recognized me.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's between...
He's as old as the original Lombardi.
Yeah, we used to smoke things together. So anyway, the Jets and the Browns, right?
No.
Oh, Lions and Cowboys. Okay, the Lions and Cowboys now, you're going to have to take... look... I like it when I hate to say it because my son loves Cowboys, but I love it when they lose because I see Jerry Jones standing on a chair with a noose around his neck, get ready to hang himself. And I never liked the guy because he mixes himself up in too many things. But anyway, I do think the Lions are going to win this because the Lions are not only a pretty physical team, they do have a very good team. And they're a little streaky right now. I mean, and right now they're on a hot streak. You know, I don't know what's the one in the room. So anyway, I do think they're going to win, and I think they're going to take it from. I think it's going to be the surprise because you got a veteran quarterback that's not going to get shook up. He can handle all that pressure and all. And I think he's going to keep his head. And they got a good team. They got a pretty good team.
2 in a row.
Yeah.
They won 2
Is it 2 in a row?
It's 2 in a row.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Lions for him.
Yeah.
I will disagree.
That's
The
cool.
Cowboys, the Cowboys
He's all right with that.
typically play better significantly at home. The only way I see the Cowboys losing this game is if the Lions' offensive line is able to give space to their running backs and get into that second level. Where, I mean, the Cowboys like to use undersized linebackers, and that's a strategy that has worked for them so far. But I believe that the Lions running backs have the advantage over the Cowboys linebackers.
Right.
I'm picking the Cowboys, but if the Lions are able to utilize that run game to set up the short passing game to like Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think this could be a trap. Oh, it's not a trap game because the Lions are 11-4. This isn't last year. It's a twap. But I could see this game being extremely competitive, high scoring, but extremely competitive. I'm going.
I think it's going to be a 3-pointer.
I'm going with Dallas for 7, but I would not be surprised at all if Detroit is able to walk away with this one.
Yeah, I think,
10 points the other way from yours.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 3-point game if the Lions win. And I think it's that important to them, and they finally realize they're not a no name. And this really inspires a lot of people, just like when you other stuff about you and all that crap. But this is something that I think they'll overcome. I think they know who they're up against. So that really humps you up. That really gets you humped up.
So for me, I think that the passion that Detroit has is something that I think can win them games. And Jared Goff seems like he is settling in. They also have a really impressive road win schedule or road win record.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh.
But Dallas has an even more impressive home win record. So I am going to go with Dallas, but I think it's going to be a super close game. I think my biggest problem with Dallas is their inconsistency. They're an extremely talented team. Like roster wise, they should be at the top of the list more than just this year. But they struggle with consistency, especially on the road. But this one's at home. I'm going to go with Dallas by 3.
Yeah, I say within 7 if they win. If they win it within 7, like Jesus was saying.
That's all he's going to remember me by now is that, and it's fine.
Hey, dude,
I'm waiting for him to start calling you Jesus.
I got a lot of work for you to do, and it's his body. You better start healing. You're going to be all day doing this mess.
Yeah. So what words everybody else said? I'm going with Dallas. Again, playing the chalk just to finish up the year. But I think Dallas, they're trying to prove they are them boys. That are all I see in NFL memes trying to yell. They seem more capable this year than they have in previous years.
That's true.
So I think they got it. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a highly offensive game. And like Brady said, just high up there, score. Not a big difference, but I'm going with Cowboys winning this one.
Dallas got embarrassed last week. There's no doubt about it.
The only way that Dallas is going to take and really clobber them is if Detroit takes and loses, loses a team momentum. It loses their confidence and stuff. That's way, and then Dallas is that good they can run the score up on you.
Well, they got Dan Campbell out there biting kneecaps right now. You know what I'm saying? That's right. He likes to bite them kneecaps.
Bite the kneecap.
That's right.
He bit somebody?
No, but that was one of his first press conferences. He was like, we're gonna go out there and bite some kneecaps." Dallas Cowboys at home, very good team. They haven't lost since they didn't lose. They haven't lost this year. They haven't lost last year at home.
They lost since Jesus wore shorts.
The Cowboys defense they've been pretty good. I mean, they went up against Miami's offense last week. They hurt a couple people last week. They were hitting pretty hard. Yeah. Jalen Waddle got knocked out of the game for a while. I feel like Dallas' defense is starting to really click. I know Miami won last week. Dallas is a little bitter about that right now, as am I.
They do have some hitters.
Yeah. And the Lions are coming into Dallas. I feel like Jared Goff is going to be running for his life most of the game. I feel like Micah Parsons.
That's a possibility.
Micah Parsons is going to be in that backfield. He's going to be chasing them down. Mm-hmm. I have this as a blowout too. I know it's crazy to say this. 2 really good teams. But another reason why I say this, the Lions have already secured their division. They've secured it.
Okay. And Goff gets rattled when he gets rushed like that.
He does. And the only team that can catch is the 49ers. I don't think they're going to catch the 49ers. I think they might know that.
There's no incentive. Okay.
There's technically.
So it's okay to lose. Yeah. All right. I see what you're saying.
So I got Dallas in a rout. It's going to be a fun game to watch for me. but
Yeah.
it's gonna be one of them games.
Now Dallas, what can they? What all?
Dallas can,
What's within reach for them?
technically they can win the division, but it's a long shot. They'd have to win both, and Philly would have to lose both. But
Well, like sorry about Philly, they got to get it together because they were losing. They're running out of gas.
yep, and I'm okay with this.
Yeah, I bet.
All right, let's get into Jessica's game of the week. I'm sorry, not Jessica.
Derek.
The GM.
I was like, what?
I don't matter. I really don't matter. Just get me back to Jessica.
Listen, man, I just need to know what's on the roster today.
So I had trouble picking this one, just trying to find a good game. So I found one of two teams both trying to clinch a division, get into the playoffs. So I got the Chiefs and the Bengals. This is one of the Chiefs have not locked down the division yet, despite what everyone expected at the beginning of the year. They've lost a couple of key games that would really mean something. Bengals, proven they do what they do every single year. Even when they suck, they manage to hold on by those teeth. And they're just trying to, especially in this division, when this division, AFC North, is really hard. But they're both right on the edge of the playoffs. And I think this is going to be an interesting fight for both of them. Should be interesting to see if emotions get high. Sometimes I wish it was like hockey and they let them fight a little bit and just circle around, get some emotions out. But I think the Chiefs are going to win this mainly on experience. They know what they're doing better than the Bengals do. The Bengals did go to the Super Bowl recently, but Chiefs have been there more often. So I think the Chiefs they're trying to course correct their ship here, and I think they're going to.
They got it all going in their direction. They do.
Yeah.
I agree with Tarek. I'm going with the Chiefs on this one, but only if Jamar Chase doesn't play. I really think that was a key linchpin in why the Bengals offense was so discombobulated, for lack of a better word, last week against the Patriots, the Steelers, two teams I equally dislike, because Jamar Chase didn't play with that back injury. So if he's unable to play, I don't know if the Bengals offense can pivot without that true number one receiver. Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins are great receivers in their own right, but they're no Jamar Chase. And Kansas City, frankly, they got embarrassed last week. I mean, Aiden O'Connell didn't attempt a pass in the second half, and the Chiefs lost that game.
It was horrible.
It was horrible. I mean, we have never seen a team that has had the Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce just be this bad. So I think if the Chiefs have any hope of making any playoff run, they have to win this game. But if Jamar Chase plays in this game, I will be switching my pick to the Bengals.
I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs here, regardless. Wasn't Jamar Chase out last week too? Not this week, but last week? And
he was out against the Steelers. He played the week prior and left.
Okay, because Higgins had a huge game that week, which he normally does not. They have other weapons on that. They have their tight end is good, they have other weapons. Their running game is good. The problem that I don't like is the Bengals just lost to the Steelers like that. The Kansas City Chiefs just lost to the Raiders, which, yes, the Raiders are trash. But Max Crosby, every team is going to struggle against that one single man. And
Jack just has a crush on Max Crosby. It's fine.
I'm pretty sure he's gay, actually.
No, that was the other guy on that team last year.
No, I thought he was. Anyway.
That was the other guy. Either way.
Yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs have the coach. Andy Reid is going to turn it around. I don't think they're going to look great, but they're going to look good enough to beat the Bengals, which isn't saying much. So I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs in a very boring game this week.
Well, I think Kansas City's going to win. Bengals are done. They're done for the year, and they're done. They're done morally. They've had a rough year. They had a bad year. They just can't get anything going in one direction. So, and not only that, Patrick Mahomes. I sent him a case of tissues because 2 weeks ago he was crying about something that was quite legal, And he just cried and cried because he thought now he's a spoiled brat. Now he's acting like he can get his way because you got to do less commercials and stop believing in just whose fries they're eating and shit like stuff like that.
You got to watch your chicken nuggies.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So I think they kind of really got themselves this year. And because they started to look like the Kansas City Chiefs of normal, and then they kind of think they got away from that. And two people snuck up and stuck a boot in their butt, and a couple of teams, and the one that they lost to, not this past week 4, off of a good call. It was a good call, legitimate call. And then to have the guy cry and complain and throw fits and all, I don't believe in that stuff. I believe you're taking away from your team. So this week coming up, I think they're going to beat the Bengals because really the Bengals morally and stuff like that, they know that they don't have, that the Kansas City's done wipe their eyes and that are going to play. They finally realized getting beat 2 weeks in a row is not good. I think they're going to be serious this week. They're going to beat Bengals, and they're going to beat them pretty good. I bet they beat them by 2 touchdowns at least.
Jamar Chase obviously missed last week. I think you're right. I think that's a big reason why they struggled so much against the Steelers. The Kansas City Chiefs gave the game to the Raiders. I mean, Aiden O'Connell, here is the stat. He threw for 67 yards in the first quarter, 0 in the second, 0 in the third, 0 in the fourth. He threw for 67 yards in the entire game and didn't have to throw another
defense can score,
Yep.
Oh, absolutely.
And when you got a guy running around with his hamburger in one pocket and his chicken nuggets in the other, and he's smiling as he's going past the cameras and stuff like that, profiling. He tried his slide pass, and that got messed up and all this stuff, and I thought he was going to pull Brady and start crying.
It's been
not Jesus, but the other Brady. Yeah.
It's been a rough week for the Kansas City Chiefs. And yes, absolutely.
They're going to be serious this week.
I'm thinking that the Chiefs, teams have figured out how to beat the Chiefs. They really have.
Not this week.
I believe that the Chiefs win this week based on defense. Browning is going to struggle a little bit, I think, in this one. And with even with Jamar Chase in, I think it'll just make it closer. I think that'll bring it within, I'm going to say 4 points. But if Jamar Chase doesn't play, I see the Chiefs winning by at least 10 points. I know the Bengals, they're currently in playoff contention. They're currently in the playoff picture. If the season ended today, they'd be in. Kansas City Chiefs, they need this win.
They'll start winning this week and go into the playoffs with momentum. And Browning's going to have a Browning spot in his pants.
Kansas City only has to win this week. They win this week, they win the division, and they don't have to worry about anything else.
I know, but see, that's the thing. They care more about than winning for the division, which they care a lot. But they care more about how they've been playing, and they ain't been playing very good.
Right. I think they get things right this week. I think
it's the start of their momentum going into the playoffs, and better watch out. It'd be fries for everybody if they win.
All right, let's get into our pop panel Pickems, brought to you, of course, by Aardvark Concepts Incorporated. More than just a sign shop. Catch them up in Westminster for all of your sign and decal needs. All right, yeah, they're up in Westminster. You didn't know that? Aardvark Concepts Incorporated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We'll have to get you a decal.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and then of course we take a look at our picks. There's only 2 teams that were dissenting. He picked the Lions. You didn't notice that before, Jess?
That picture.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And
Did you put his head on a different body?
Do what?
Did you put his head on a different body?
No, that's him.
Who?
That was just me
He's
zoomed in.
naturally jacked.
See it?
Who?
You.
Where?
Right there.
Look
at that body.
What are you talking about? Different body. Okay.
So
Film picture.
for this
Dad
one,
picked the Lions.
we have Dad picked the Lions. Of course, Brady, being the contrarian he is the only
Wait a
person.
minute. Who is that you picked, Brady?
The Georgia professional football team that may or may not be avian.
Yes.
Okay.
Since they lost to the Carolina Panthers, he refuses to say the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah,
And honestly, it's because
that's-
of what the Chicago Bears
Yeah.
are unable to do, and that's play good football.
You're crazy, but
You
I'll
are
take it.
nut.
No, that's fine. I'll just get another game on you this week, Jess. It's fine.
Right. I'll get closer.
Mhm.
I think Chicago's going to beat the Falcons because
Mhm.
they've kind of found themselves a little momentum. I
This
think
is
they got
where
a
I gain back
good
on you.
chance. They got a good chance.
I
No,
think
it's
it's
fine.
all based on Atlanta doesn't travel. They just don't.
Well,
I'll
whatever.
take the groveling next week when we do the video. You were so right.
Well, I mean, we'll see how it goes. All right, let's take a look at the next set. Pretty much a clean sweep, except for the one game. I am the only one to pick the New Orleans Saints. I believe in Derek Carr this week.
Number one, let me say, the Indy game, I'm not set on because that's just a horrible game in general.
Jessica has a habit of changing her picks like 3 or 4 times.
Maybe you should try it. Maybe you'd catch up.
That's my girl.
You do realize
Yeah,
I'm
I
a
changed
game
my
behind
pick
you.
last week. It didn't really end up well for me.
Yeah, I did
I
change
will
one
say-
pick last week.
I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. Baker Mayfield is playing himself into a contract year.
Yes, it
This is going to be that game, I think, that sets him
Yes, it
apart and
is.
gets him that payday.
And they say he's been shown a lot more command.
He's
26
passionate.
touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 95.3 passer rating this year with 8 wins.
Wow.
Yeah.
He is playing out of his mind. Now, granted, he
They're,
is Mike
they're,
Evans.
start, they're starting to get around him. They've seen a little bit of that they have a chance and that they actually have a halfway decent quarterback. Yeah, you're right.
This is going to be a great game in my opinion, but
Mhm.
I have
I think it's going to be a good game.
I got New Orleans winning.
I think it's going to be close, yeah.
You also got Dallas winning too.
I do. But that's a consensus pick, as well as the Houston Texans beating the Tennessee Titans, as opposed to one person's pick.
I thought I picked Tennessee, but let me check.
Stroud is supposed to be back this week.
Yeah,
If he's
I mean,
not,
been out
I'm
for what,
changing my
2 to
pick.
3 weeks with the concussion.
Who?
C.J. Stroud, quarterback of the Houston Texans.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was doing pretty good.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that one's tough for me. That one might change, but we'll see.
I think Tennessee is a pretty tough team, man. They're a pretty tough team, and
I think they got Ryan Tannehill playing this week.
They do.
really, they got him back playing.
Well,
Yeah.
he's been on the bench for a while
Yeah, I know.
for Will Levis.
That's good. I think they got a fair chance. So they got a pretty good chance.
All right, let's get into our final games of the week. Oh, 2 people picked the Nick Mullins-led Vikings to continue to stay in playoff contention.
Sammy and Tarek.
One of them was Sammy, yes.
As my phone likes to call him, Tariq.
Yes.
Got it.
That's one of those games where it's like,
Because your phone's
I
racist.
don't know. It's not a toss-up because, like, I'll watch games where, like, 2 weeks ago, the Vikings offense looked really good with Nick Mullins, and then last week, not so much. And then the Green Bay Packers, they'll look really good, and then not so much. So it's not a toss-up game. It's just who is going to show up. So
Yeah.
That's what I was saying earlier. We don't know. There's games we're expecting to just go one way, and for whatever reason, I think Goodell is forcing the script on the certain team and go, no, that's not the story we want to play. This team's got to win.
Listen, no, if the Vikings win, it's going to be based on their defense. They would have to shut down Jordan Love, and I'm sure Brady would love that because he's playing against Jordan Love this week in the championship game.
Mhm.
The main problem with that is one of their star defensive ends has a partially torn quad and will be out for this game. So I don't know. It's going to be a toss-up, but I really wish the NFL had looked at this game and been like, no one wants to see this. Let's put the Ravens game on primetime. But
They
Yeah,
did that
really.
they did that last week.
I know, but this
Keith,
is
No,
for the
that's a
AFC.
seller. That's a seller.
it going?
Ravens are always a seller.
But the Ravens were flexed last week, so they can't do
Doesn't
2 weeks
matter.
in a row.
Oh,
Who
you
said
can't
they
do 2
can't?
weeks in a row?
No.
Oh.
Who said they can't?
It's
Sam?
rules.
Change the rule.
The NFL said they can't do it 2 weeks
Well,
in a
the
row. They
NFL
will not
can take
flex
the
the
rule
same
back.
team 2 weeks in a row.
Oh, I didn't know that. I knew that. I know it was
That's
a
right.
rule.
Do not argue with the host here. The host
Official.
knows.
The
I'm a
official.
co-host.
Host
I
knows.
can do what I want.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate it. Please leave a like down below for our special guest this week, Sammy, Jess Dad. We're coming to a close. We only got 1 week left after this, and we'll figure out if we do a playoff, because sometimes we say we do and we don't. So comment down below. Let us know who you think is going to win, whose picks are crazy. Subscribe so you know when our videos are coming out, and we will see you guys next week.
Let us
As
know if
always,
you missed Sammy.
I'm Tarek.
I'll be replaced by a midget.
I'm Jessica.
I'm Football Jesus.
See you, JC.
It's Jim, and I'm Sam. And
I'm his dad and her dad.
and you have a great football week.
Bye, guys.
See you later.